Hi, welcome to 40 Cray, the podcast by a couple of 30-something dudes whose adult lives and responsibilities have not yet eclipsed their zeal for stupid nerdy shit. From Warhammer to video games to professional wrestling to Diablo 2 Resurrected. If it's your fandom, we're your tandem. Hey, how you doing? I'm Tommy Bones, here as always with Ben LSD.
Yeah, man, Diablo 2. I am hopelessly addicted to that, so that's a problem.
Yes.
So, something
Cannot
about
wait.
Oh my
Get
god,
that fired up.
Yeah, something about that RNG and just click 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 click. Tom, I want to start with the question. What are you drinking? Because that's a really interesting can.
So this Double Dubious from, what was this? Bad Sons Beer Company. Amanda got me this for my birthday. I had never heard of it before. It's pretty good.
For those that are listening on the podcast and not on YouTube and seeing us, it looks like a Monster Energy drink can that got combined with some kind of awesome liquor. Is that a hops skull? The skull has hops in its head.
Yeah, yes, the skull face and then the forehead area. It's a hop, singular hop.
Well, I'm drinking. This is funny. So out here, Corbel, the kind of mediocre wine company, makes brandy, and I was like, "Oh, I haven't had brandy in a long time," so that's what I'm drinking.
I also have not brandy, but well, some to sip on. Yeah, little something for myself.
You can tell both of us have had long weeks already, and it's just Monday. But Tom, we got a little bit of a different show today in that, well, I mean, they're all kind of different, but it's been a long week. We're gonna talk about D&D, something we haven't talked about in a while. But I think, in the spirit of playing all this Diablo and thinking about how much we love the classes, it made us reflect on the D&D classes.
Yeah.
And we are going
to think about D&D a lot at work.
That's because you're a storyteller, so you have to craft your storylines, right?
Yeah, my like half of my day is just sort of mindless, busy work, I guess. So I let my mind wander and I think about things that are actually important to me. And I've been thinking about D&D a lot lately.
And I know we have that awesome campaign going where, Tom, you've written the entire thing, and it's been a lot of fun. I think we've done a show previously about what makes a good D&D campaign. Storytelling's a part of it. The people you play with are a part of it. But it's been a really good time. But I think also another part of that is we're experts here. We've played a lot of D&D games, and on that note, today we're going to go through each D&D 5th edition class. And just give our 2 thoughts or 2 cents on them. From Barbarian to Wizard, that's B to W. It's not quite A to Z, but it's close. We're going to do about 2 minutes on each. And that's, by the way, for those, it's alphabetical. We're going to go in order. I've got the Player's Handbook from the 5th edition, which I love, by the way. I'm a big 5th edition fan.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
A little more user friendly.
I think we grew up on 3.5.
We did.
Right. I think when we started playing it was 3.5. Yeah, 4th didn't interest me at all. It seemed like every character was a wizard. But yeah, no, 5th is a lot of fun.
All right. It's a good time. It's a little more approachable. With that, we're going to get right into it, starting with the Barbarian. All right, 2 minutes on the clock. Tom, what do you think about the Barbarian class?
Barbarian seems fun to me. I don't know if it's necessarily top tier, but some fun can be had, going into a rage, hitting things with an axe.
I've played a Barbarian in 5th edition once. I had a pretty good time. I followed it was the Path of the Totem Warrior, which somebody told me was pretty OP, and I had a good time. I think all in all, like I'm not even ranking these based on like how good they are in terms of competitiveness, because I know we always are not trying to metagame, we're trying to storytell and role play. I think Barbarian, if you role play it the right way, it's fun.
The best class for you is the one that you enjoy playing.
And if you're out there and you like smacking things, you know, Barbarian gets to run in and be a tank. They have that ability to rage out, which gives them some special abilities.
Yeah.
A lot of hit points. Yeah, it's not that complicated.
The bear one gives you some good defense. Eagle lets you fly, I think. So there's a lot of interesting mechanics in that class.
So Barbarian, we picked the simplest one to start with, but whatever, it's good. We're gonna move on. Number 2, the Bard.
The Bard. What do you think of the Bard?
So I have a weird relationship with the Bard. It's a lot of people consider it the most powerful class. It's got a lot going on. It can be fighty, it can be a little spellcasty, it can heal, it can empower. There's a lot to do. So objectively, I think it's a pretty, maybe not objectively, subjectively, most of the time what I hear is it's very fun to play. My thing is, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, why do these people can like, no, they can sing and they can do music. Why does that give them magical abilities? Doesn't make sense. Does not pass Ben's suspension of incredulity.
Because music is magic. And also friendship.
I was going to say, I thought friendship was magic.
I like bards. Theris is a bard. Well, predominantly bard / rogue. He's a College of Swords bard, swashbuckler rogue. And I don't remember exactly what that allows me to do, but like the swashbuckler like gives you pretty much a free sneak attack every time you attack, and College of Swords gives you some cool abilities to sort of duel, you know, one-handed swords. I don't know, he seems cool to me. Yeah, and then you've always got access to magic.
Always access to magic. We have another bard in our party, Mulberry. I think it has a lot of cool potential. I just wish there was a lore reason why playing an instrument makes you uber powerful, because I probably would have practiced piano more as a kid. So,
that's true.
Bard,
raise the dead.
You can raise the dead with your song. So Bard, super fun, pretty competitive. There's a lot of customizability. If you want to have a good time and you don't mind having some complexity, it's a great one. Just be prepared to sing and role play it a little bit. All right, you ready for the next one?
Yeah. Next up.
Cleric.
I don't see anything wrong with the Cleric. There are some domains better than others.
Cleric, like, you don't see anything wrong with it, but that's not a stunning endorsement. I don't think we've ever had anyone play a Cleric in any of our...
From what I hear, Twilight. Doug Pruitt is a Cleric.
Oh, Doug is? Okay.
Yeah. And he'll come into play later on in the campaign. But I think Twilight, from what I understand, Twilight Cleric is really powerful. I don't remember why.
So for listeners, when you're a cleric, you get to choose a number, basically a domain that reflects, like, are you a shadow cleric or like a light cleric or a life cleric? Overall, look, they get to wear some armor, so they're a little bit tanky. They've got the objectively the best healing ability in the game. They're a great support character. I don't know why. I just feel like they're a little less fleshed out, a little less fun in 5e. So totally objective. I think they can be competitive. Like you said, Twilight, I think you're right. Like, that's the relatively more powerful one. But if you want to be the person that's healing everybody and that your party really appreciates, I think a cleric is a good way to go.
But they're also like frontline healers because they have heavy armor and melee weapons. So they're not so terribly one-dimensional.
Yeah, they can tank a little bit, and they can do some damage too. They got some cool damage spells.
Yeah.
But by the way, if you're watching us, you'll notice there's a little bit of a delay. I think Tom and I are having internet troubles, so if it looks like we're talking over each other, it's because of these the delay. So stick with us here. That brings us though to our next. Because we are we're still gonna do it anyway, and god dang it, we're gonna have a good time. Druid's up next. So we did Barbarian, Bard, and Cleric. I think so far we like the Bard best. What do you think about a Druid?
So aren't moon druids invincible?
I'm sorry, what?
The Circle of the Moon druid, aren't they invincible? Because they get access to wild shape like infinitely, and when you die out of wild shape, you revert back to your human form with your full hit points. So you could just keep transforming into whatever animal you want to be, and then it would take somebody. They would have to one-shot you after killing your animal form in order to take you down. Like it just seems difficult to do it.
And I remember we had in our last party, Gabrielle, our guest star on the show often, was a druid, and she was like by far the most powerful player on our team. She did Circle of the Moon. So when you're a druid, you're a little bit magic-y, you're a little bit fighty, you're a little bit, supporty. You got all, you got some offense, you got support. You can also shape change and cast some pretty good spells. So at some point she could shape change and then cast spells while she was in a changed shape. So I remember she was transforming into a dinosaur and then like summoning like 10 like badgers to come and like, and she just like, I think single-handedly killed all the bosses, right?
Those fucking badgers.
Yeah, they were so good, weren't they?
Rolling like 18 dice for all the badger attacks.
So there are ways to make like a druid at first, you might be like, I don't know. There are ways to have a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed watching her play a druid. So I think that's, in terms of just straight up fun, that's in one of my top tiers.
Yeah. And a lot of great room to RP as well.
Absolutely. Gotta love the nature. All right.
Yeah. Kraylin Estro was a great character.
She was great, man. When she was an Allosaurus and those badgers, that was fun. All right, up next.
Kind of a confined room. Sorry.
Wait, was it confined room?
It was, it was a relatively small area, and she filled most of it being a
That's right. So she was tanking, so nobody could get around her. I was a paladin. I don't think I even did anything that fight. I think I was like, whatever. So the other really true tank is the fighter. That's our next class. This is your straight up brawler, expert with all weapons. A lot of good going for them. They can regain hit points. They can attack multiple times. They can do some kind of very light magic later on. I'm playing one now. I'm having a lot of fun actually with my fighter. He's an Eldritch Knight.
Yeah. Ramel is a fighter. You just spec'd into wizard as well?
Yes.
Because I've heard that champion fighters can be very boring to play. Not that they're not powerful, they're just, hit thing with weapon, It's really all they do.
Yes, hit thing with weapon, but again, like I've got some magic on the side. I can do a lot of stuff, and nobody hits things with weapons better than fighters. So if you want a pretty simple class to own that's going to probably not die and may not be the #1 damage dealer, but it's going to be okay, go for it. Yeah. And they have a lot of fun options.
You could do the most number of physical attacks. Yeah.
And I think that includes like there's one class that does like bow and arrow. I think there's a class that maybe I'm making this up. I was gonna say there's a gunslinger class, but I think that's either something I made up or in one of the expansions I don't have. All right.
There's one that it's like summons clones of himself. I forget what it's
Right.
called. But you actually control like 2 or 3 characters that are just, and then you just beat the hell out, like you just gang up on someone. Seems fun.
I don't remember what that's called. Was it like a reflection knight or
Something like that. Echo Knight.
Echo Knight? That was it.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So we got the fighter. Fun. Give it a try. It's a good beginner class, but honestly, I'm having a lot of fun with it too. Next up, the monk. This is probably one of my least favorite classes.
The monk. Yeah, the monks don't do anything for me. I mean, they can move really fast. For, you know, I don't know why that's valuable. They can do it.
All right, I think that's enough to say about the monk. I mean, that's it. Like it's like a kind of like a Shaolin monk. There's some martial arts. They have some kind of magic. It's not very fun. I don't know. I've never really had a great time. I think there's probably some builds that work, but you don't really do weapons as much. And that's like a big part of the fun is like getting cool weapons and armor and stuff.
They're good for RP, I think.
Yeah.
You know, outside of combat. You know, if you need to scale a wall, you know, attach a rope so that the rest of your party can climb up. That kind of thing.
Okay, so monks, if you want to scale up a wall or move fast, otherwise, maybe pass. Next up, we got the class I've played probably the most in the campaigns we've played together, Tom, the Paladin.
Paladins, yes. You're limited to being lawful good, which is a bit of a restriction. You know, kind of dictates how your character has to behave. You know, but they have a lot of really cool abilities.
They're pretty tanky. They fight almost as well as a fighter, and they have some good magic that supports and heals. Honestly, though, I gotta say, like when you're a mix of things, I actually have found it harder to play effectively. Like if I'm a fighter, I'm running in. If I'm a wizard, I'm stand back. If I'm a paladin,
right?
You know, you're kind of mixing both, and you don't really do either of them super well. So you're certainly an effective character. I find it less fun to play though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Manuel tanked like really well. You know, you just run in there, get the heat, and then just, you know, not take any damage.
Take the heat. That's what Manuel did. But yeah,
Manuel of the Plains.
Manuel of the, that was because somebody mistyped Manual of the Plains into Manuel, and I was like, that's the character I'm going to be. Yeah, I had a good time with him as a character, but again, like, it was kind of vanilla for me. Which brings us to another character that can be vanilla or can be really fun if you do it the right way, the Ranger. This is your, like, I think, Aragorn. This is it's a fighter who's also a little bit crafty and can live in nature. They get pets. They have some limited magic use later on. You know, if you want somebody who's almost as fighty as a fighter, but has a little bit more nuance and RP ability, Ranger's a good bet.
So Ranger, prior to Tasha's Cauldron, was hands down far and away the worst class in 5th edition. Because, you know, a fighter with, you know, the marksman trait was a better archer. You know, the magic wasn't as good as, you know, other classes. So everything the Ranger did, another class did better. But then with, you know, the expansions, the Tasha's, Zenithar's Guide, they added like new stuff, and the Ranger is more viable now. But, you know, way back when, just there was no point in being a Ranger.
They all felt kind of milquetoast, I agree. And I heard about Tasha's kind of buffed them up a little bit, but still, like, if I want to do nature, I'll be a druid. If I want to do fighty stuff, I'll be a fighter. If I want pets, druids can get pets too. So all in all, it just feels like
wizards and warlocks can get familiars. You know, there's nothing really they do that's unique.
Yeah. So for me,
favorite enemy is situational.
Yeah, favorite. So that's another thing Rangers get. They can choose an enemy that they have like better attacks against, essentially. And yeah, that's if you pick an orc and then you fight nothing but orcs, that's great. But then if it's like, oh, we're doing all skeletons today, you're host. So for me, like Ranger and Monk, I think are the like just I wouldn't want to play them. I don't really like them.
I guess that's up to your DM too, how much of a dick they are.
Yeah. All right, next up, another R. This is a really, yeah, I know, great transition. This is a really strong class. I'm keeping us on to time though. I'm doing that because we got to save time so we can go play some Diablo.
damn
Yeah.
it.
So if you're listening, and it seems like I'm hurrying through. It's because I've had a long day and I desperately need a fix of Diablo. Necromancer all the way, man. Love the Necromancer. So rogues are really good. Let's talk about rogues. That's a really good class, right, Tom?
Mm-hmm.
They do one thing really well: stab things from behind.
Yeah. Yeah, you've always got your sneaky thief character in any party. You know, there's always somebody that wants to do that. So the rogue is your best option there.
And they're also really good at stealth, generally. They're really good at lock picking, so they have a lot of RP ability. But they're like a pretty good damage dealer on their own right. And depending on which of the subsets you take, like an assassin, very respectable. So if you want like a reasonably glass cannon-y character, this is an awesome one, and it's a lot of fun to play too.
Yeah, I enjoy playing a rogue.
Would you ever drive a Nissan Rogue?
Is that a crossover?
I think so.
SVU.
Yeah, it's a crossover SVU, Special Victims Unit.
Criminal intent.
Yeah, all right. Go play a rogue, guys. It's fun. Seriously, give it a try. I usually play really tanky classes, and I was a rogue and had a blast. Just because you're like, stab, run away, and you're always good at pretty much everything.
And then at some point you don't even need to have surprise as long as you're 5 feet. Like if the thing that you're attacking, if there's an ally within 5 feet of you, then you get advantage on your attack, and that gives you bonus sneak attack damage. So pretty much anytime you attack it, you get your bonus damage, as long as
which is really destructive.
You're teaming up.
And honestly, guys, like it's I think you can get more damage than fighters in close combat, which is really cool in the right circumstances. All right, next up.
I just don't think they get as many attacks.
They don't, but they get a little sneaky attack stuff. This is me stabbing somebody from behind, by the way, this motion. We got
just
now
roll 700.
Yeah, it's a roll 18d6. All right, next up, we got our trio of spellcasters to round us out: the Sorcerer, the Warlock, and the Wizard. Let's start with the Sorcerer. This is like kind of like your mutant, somebody who's just innately gifted, and they use charisma to determine how good they are at casting spells. I've been one. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah. Sorcerers are cool. For me, I like them more than a wizard for RP purposes.
Yeah.
I just think you have more options, but you're investing heavily in charisma, so 9 times out of 10 you're going to be the face of the party. You're going to be talking to everyone, trying to convince them otherwise and get information. So that's something you have to be prepared for.
Very true. And now there's a couple different varieties. Like in the base, they give you, there's one where the reason you have magic is because you have a draconic or dragon ancestor. The other one I liked is it's called wild magic. It's just kind of like you have innate crazy magic abilities you can't really control. Again, all like X-Men. I love that one because you can RP it where like you can take penalty, you can do more spells and take penalties that make you roll in the magic or the wild magic table, where like bad things can happen, like you cast fireball on yourself as an area effect attack, which is bad.
I love the wild magic too.
And like I role played a character where I actually was not having fun in this party. There were 3 other people that were really annoying me, so I would always roll on the wild magic table in the hopes that I would blow up the whole party and end the campaign.
And the wild magic table, when our current campaign, Dando the Great, he's a wizard, but you got him high on mushrooms. So we went with that mechanic that anytime he tried to cast a spell, I rolled on the wild magic table because he was just high off his ass and didn't really know what he was casting.
Yeah, that was really funny.
And that, yeah.
Wild Magic Table is awesome. If you haven't seen this, it's in the book. Go check it out. It's a lot of fun. You can turn into a potted plant. You can grow an extra eye. It's good stuff, man. It's like the warp in Warhammer. So, Sorcerer, you get like
plant is the best.
Yeah, the potted plant. I was just like, I'm here. I'm attractive, and I calm your zen. So, in the scheme of things, wizards get the most magic options. Sorcerers get like a medium number of spell options, and also get some ways that they can cast spells longer distance, more powerfully, etc. A warlock has few spells, but can cast them a little bit more often. So let's go to the warlock. Or let me rephrase that. Few spells that they can't cast as often, but they can regenerate them on a short rest. And they get a little bit of more fighty, combat-y abilities and some situational stuff. So let's talk warlock for a minute.
Right. So warlocks are definitely not a beginner class. I think there's some mechanics there that make them a little more difficult to play than some of the others. But that it seems like a lot of fun to me. I have a character totally fleshed out. The next time I get to be a player, she's a warlock. They just seem like really cool to me.
I totally agree. Like, you have to kind of plan and strategize. Interestingly, they have access to probably the best cantrip or spell that you can cast an infinite number of times, which is Eldritch Blast, which is super good. But they're really fun to create a background for, because you need a whole story about how did they get their magical powers, and was it they made a deal with a demon? Is it an angel? Is it that they have a possessed sword or whatever have you that makes them really good at close combat and cast spells? They're a lot of fun to play, but they are, to your point, you got to be pretty judicious, and you're not very tanky, so you can't really last that long in combat, and you're not very you're not as spelly as some of the other spellcasting classes, so you really got to play that mix well.
They get a lot of really cool utility abilities.
Yeah, that too.
And I was reading something. Where am I going with this? All right, I forgot what point I was trying to make, so let's move on.
Okay, when it comes back, this is great television. Yeah, this is what happens, guys. It's been a long week. He's got 2 kids he's trying to take care of. I just, don't have an excuse. I'm just lazy, I guess.
Yeah.
So then our last spellcasting class, and indeed our last class is the wizard. This is your stereotypical, probably has a pointy hat, lives in a tower, spends their whole life studying, has to prepare spells,
right?
But you get access to by far the widest variety of spells in the game with some amazing options.
Right. But you have to prepare those spells ahead of time. So the first long rest of the day, when you wake up in the morning, you take that pool of all the spells that you have and you refine which ones you're going to need for that day. So it's kind of a crapshoot. If your DM decides it's going to be a narrative day, you don't have the spell that you need, it could be a challenge. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential for cool stuff there.
So if you want, if you're willing to accept some of those limitations, you can blow some shit up, man. It is a lot of fun. I think of the spellcasters, all of them are completely fun and viable in my opinion. So I think if we're looking back over this list, I think Ranger and Monk I didn't really enjoy as much. I think next tier is Cleric and Paladin. Barbarian probably fits in there. I think Druids, Fighters, and Bards can be and really fun, as can Rogues. And I think Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard also fun. If I had to pick one class that I've had the most fun with, I think for me it would be Sorcerer, just because of that wild magic shenanigans, which I really enjoyed. What do you think, Tom? What's your favorite, most fun class to play?
I haven't played yet, but in my mind, this Hexblade Warlock I've created seems like it would be a lot of fun. The next time I get to be a player, I'm going to run that.
All right. Well, that was our quick and dirty. We mostly kept to the time limit that we just assigned ourselves here. Tom, what percentage are you done downloading Diablo 2 at this point?
Let me check. 45%.
Okay, making progress. So we're gonna go. Hopefully, Tom will download. We'll kill some stuff with some clicks of our mouse. If you ever want to play Diablo 2 with us, shoot us a comment. I guess that's probably the best way to get in touch with us.
Battle.net friend request.
Yeah, or you can. That's true on Battle.net. I'm LS Demon BOC. I forgot, Tom, what you are.
Tommy Bones.
Is it Tommy Bones? Okay. You can also email us at 40cray@gmail.com, 40cray@gmail.com. But until next time, good fight, good night.
Oh my.
End transmission.
It's a demonic invocation.
Demonic invocation. That's right. We're actually warlocks, and this is our demonic invocation.